Good evening. This February 22nd, 2018 regular meeting of the Fairfax County School Board will now come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, a moment of silence, and the performance of the national anthem by the Armstrong Elementary School Band under the direction of Erica Hurt. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, students from Armstrong Elementary, and thank you to the parents who have shared their children with us tonight. It is indeed a pleasure. Next, we have to certify our closed meeting compliance. In order to comply with Section 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia, it is necessary for the Board to certify that since the Fairfax County School Board convened a closed meeting on February 22nd, 2018, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the Board during the closed meeting. Is there a motion? Moved by Ms. Corbett Sanders, seconded by Mr. Moon. All those in favor? That is Evans, Wilson, McLaughlin, McElveen, Corbett Sanders, Strauss, Moon, Heinz, Schultz, Derenak, Koufax, Keys, Kamara. Abstention? Ms. Poolcheck. Thank you. Announcements. First, I will call on Dr. Brabrand for an announcement.
Thank you, Chairman Strauss. Board members, parents, students, members of the Fairfax community, I want to take a moment to talk with you. I shared a statement with our faculty and students this afternoon, and I'd like to extend a message this evening to you all. As superintendent of schools, first and foremost, it's important for me to share with you that we lost 17 innocent lives last week in Parkland, Florida, and that cannot be forgotten in all of this. As a community, as a Fairfax community, we are going to need to work together to do the very best we can to ensure that our students, our teachers, and all of our school staff are safe from this kind of tragedy. I'd like to take a moment to share with parents, employees, and community citizens and residents some of the safety procedures that are in place across the district. I also want to share with you this evening that we are beginning a top-to-bottom comprehensive review of all of our safety procedures to see if any changes or improvements can be made. This school board, just in the forum a few moments ago, also directed me to begin to do this work. It is the right work to do on behalf of this community. I want you to know that Fairfax County focuses a great deal of attention on our security procedures and is vigilant about protecting the safety of our students and employees. The school division has spent considerable time and effort in planning and practicing safety and security measures appropriate for addressing a major critical incident. Among these measures are close coordination and emergency planning with Fairfax County Police and Fire Departments, comprehensive division-wide crisis management plans, individual school crisis plans, which include evacuation and parent reunification procedures that are regularly reviewed and updated, lockdown drills, threat assessment processes in every school, employee training in crisis management and communication, strict visitor controls at all buildings, electronic door access technology to aid in visitor control. In addition, we have Fairfax County police officers as a school resource officer, or SROs, present in our secondary, high, and middle schools. We have school-based security in all secondary, high, and middle schools, and we have uniformed security staff that provides additional coverage at all of our FCPS schools and facilities after hours. In specific response to the Parkland incident, FCPS school security has increased its presence in all Fairfax County public schools, and the Fairfax County Police Department has increased their patrol presence near and around our schools. This step is being taken out of an abundance of caution and to provide reassurance to staff, to students, and to our community and to our parents after the events that have occurred in Florida last week. Safety and security is everyone's job. Staff, students, parents, and the community at large are reminded to incorporate safety and security awareness as routine and to immediately report any unusual activity to authorities. This has been a difficult time for this country and for Fairfax County Public Schools and our community. I know that working together, we will do the right things to make sure that our students, staff, and our community and our parents feel safe when they send their children to Fairfax County Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Braybrand. A few other announcements. An overflow room has been set up in the gymnasium if people wish to hear the meeting, and we've used up all of our seats. If you would like to review a copy of the agenda and any agenda item that is being discussed tonight, that information is on the table by the auditorium entrance. Tonight's agenda is available by going to the school board on the FCPS homepage and selecting board docs under upcoming school board meetings. The meeting is also being streamed live online. Select school board from the full menu, then click on the Watch Live button on the school board meetings webpage. Please turn off your cell phones. I will now call on Ms. Fedekanda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. March 2nd is Read Across America Day. The National Education Association's Read Across America Day, now in its 20th year, is an annual reading motivation and awareness program that calls for every child in every community to celebrate reading on or around Dr. Seuss's birthday. This year's celebration is based on the theme, Grab Your Hat and Read with the Cat, to encourage students to delve into books to learn as much as possible while becoming lifelong readers. In cities and towns across the nation, teachers, teenagers, librarians, politicians, actors, athletes, parents, grandparents, and others develop NEA's Read Across America Day activities to bring reading excitement to children of all ages. Governors, mayors, and other elected officials recognize the role that reading plays in their communities with proclamations and floor statements. Athletes and actors issue reading challenges to young readers, and teachers and principals seem more than happy to dye their hair green or wear Seuss-inspired costumes if it boosts their students' reading. March 4th through 10th is also National Foreign Language Week. The week has been designated as National Foreign Language Week, and the Alpha Mu Gamma Foreign Language Honor Society has sponsored National Foreign Language Week since 1957. And the theme for 2018 is Languages Lead Us on a Path to Understanding Other Cultures. Students are encouraged to use this opportunity to highlight the value of learning world languages and learning about other cultures, and to celebrate the successes of world language students and teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I will call on Ms. McLaughlin for Social Work Appreciation Month.
Thank you. As the only school board member represented on the Fairfax County School Board, I always enjoy this special time of year where we get a chance to really honor some incredible employees that we have here within Fairfax County Schools. And so with that, March 2018 is our National School Social Work Month. March is the National Social Work Month, and this year's theme is Social Workers, Leaders, Advocates, Champions. Social workers tackle some of the toughest challenges facing our society. In every city and every community, they develop solutions to make mental health and health care more available, to reduce poverty, to eliminate injustice and discrimination, and to protect vulnerable children from harm. School social workers are valuable members of multidisciplinary teams serving in our schools and are providing a wide range of services to students, parents, and faculty. School social workers are professionally trained to understand the needs of students who present with difficulties that interfere with learning and have expertise in many areas, including mental health, human development, and behavior, and how family dynamics affect student achievement. They foster positive relationships and create hope and opportunity for youth and families in need. School social workers in Fairfax County Public Schools use their training, experience, and skills to provide services to children, families, and school staff members in an effort to remove personal and environmental obstacles to optimize student academic performance. Social workers are committed to helping every child achieve in school and become a self-sufficient, emotionally healthy, socially well-adjusted, productive member of our society. At this time, I would like to invite our social workers who are in the audience to please join me and my colleagues at the dais for a picture, and thank you for your incredible service to our school system.
Tighter if possible on the ends, please. Okay? This is perfect. Okay, looking right here for two. Nice big smile one more time. And one last one. Thank you.
Now I will call on Mr. Wilson, recognition of National Athletic Training Month.
Thank you, Madam Chair. March is National Athletic Training Month, and this year's theme is Compassionate Care for All, an appropriate slogan reflecting the important role certified athletic trainers employed by Fairfax County Public Schools play in keeping our students safe. Through educational programs for students, parents, and coaches, preseason sports screenings, and emergency planning, these nationally certified and state-licensed medical professionals are dedicated to promoting the health and safety of our student athletes before, during, and after practices and competitions. The athletic healthcare services provided by certified athletic trainers include the prevention, recognition, evaluation, treatment, and rehabilitation of athletic injuries and illnesses. FCPS continues to be recognized as a leader in adolescent injury epidemiology research and sports-related concussion management for high school athletes. Our athletic trainers work collaboratively with parents, school staff, and community medical providers to promote safe participation for over 27,000 athletic participants each year. In fact, during the 2016-17 school year, over 9,500 individual students received care from a Fairfax County Public School athletic trainer, accounting for over 76,000 total visits to our 25 athletic training facilities. FCPS is nationally recognized as a leader among high school athletic training programs. In 2017, each FCPS high school was once again designated as a first-team safe sports school by the National Athletic Trainers Association, the second time all 25 schools have been recognized in this fashion. Now I would like to invite the athletic trainers who are in the audience to please join me at the dais for a picture or a photo with the board.
Looking right here for two. Nice big smile. Perfect. Thank you so much.
I will now call on Ms. Kamara for the recognition of the Fairfax County NAACP 100th anniversary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Fairfax County branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People began meeting in 1918 and was chartered in 1944. The school board embraces this opportunity to congratulate the Fairfax County NAACP on this anniversary and commend the branch for its century of education advocacy. The mission of the NAACP is to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic equality rights of all people and to eliminate racial hatred and discrimination. In that cause, the Fairfax County branch has been on the front lines of education reform since its earliest days. In Virginia, the birthplace of massive resistance, the battle for integrated, equitable education for all children has been long and arduous, and at times must have seemed hopeless. The courage and tenacity of the Fairfax County NAACP throughout its 100-year history have made all the difference and continue to benefit our school system and our community today. We join the Fairfax County NAACP in important shared values and wish them continued success on behalf of all children, families, educators, and community. I would like to invite members of the Fairfax County NAACP who are with us this evening to please join me at the dais for a photo with the board.
I would like to call on Mr. McLaughlin for a resolution on gun violence prevention.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I will be reading the resolution on gun violence prevention. Whereas more than 150,000 students attending more than 170 primary and secondary schools have experienced a shooting on campus since the Columbine High School massacre in 1999. Whereas from Columbine to Virginia Tech to Sandy Hook to Parkland, the lives of hundreds of students and school employees have been lost to the plague of gun violence. Whereas among high-income nations, 91% of children under 15 years old and 92% of youth between 15 and 24 years old who have been killed by bullets lived in the United States. Whereas nearly 24 children are shot every day on average, and more than 22 million children live in homes with a firearm in the United States. Whereas Fairfax County Public Schools believes that the health and safety of our students and employees is our highest priority and that they will thrive in a vibrant, healthful, safe, enriching, and respectful environment. Whereas Fairfax County Public Schools has prioritized improving safety precautions to prevent gun violence incidents from occurring, as well as mental health supports. And whereas the responsibility for preventing gun violence incidents cannot be relegated to school districts alone. Therefore, be it resolved that the Fairfax County School Board calls upon the United States Congress and state legislatures, including the Virginia General Assembly, to prioritize the protection of students and school system employees by passing legislation that more effectively regulates access to firearms in the interest of public safety, funds public health research on firearms-related issues, and advances mental health supports. I so move.
Second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Aaron Colfax. Mr. McLaughlin, would you like to speak to your motion?
Tonight in Fairfax County, Virginia, the doorstep to the nation's capital and the headquarters of the National Rifle Association, The Fairfax County School Board will unequivocally call on the U.S. Congress and state legislatures around the nation to adopt stricter gun control measures to protect our students and employees from the terror of gun violence that has plagued our country for far too long.
Please let Mr. McLaughlin continue. I know this is emotional, but please, if you'll have a seat and let Mr. McLaughlin continue. Thank you for your attention here. Thank you. Mr. McLaughlin.
At some point over the past 2 decades since Columbine, school shootings became commonplace, making America the one country on earth where these incidents regularly occur. Over time, they came to disappear from the front pages of newspapers as quickly as they occurred. But every few years, the issue has jolted back into our collective conscience, whether it was Virginia Tech, Sandy Hook, or now Parkland. And after every tragedy, school systems like ours regroup and look for new ways to improve school safety. But the responsibility for addressing these incidents cannot and should not be relegated to school systems alone. At the state and national levels, the result has always been the same: finger-pointing, misinformation, inaction. And the same powerful lobbies that have kept us running in circles for the past 2 decades are at it again. Just today, the head of the National Rifle Association, Wayne LaPierre, said that opportunists wasted not 1 second to exploit tragedy for political gain. Mr. LaPierre, this board's action tonight, as well as the actions of our students and students around the country, are not exploiting a tragedy. They are honoring the lives lost to gun violence and saying very loudly and clearly, never again. I was an 8th grader. I was an 8th grader when Columbine occurred, and I remembered how jarring it was. My first thought, as is often the case with most of us, was that it seemed so far away and that it could never happen here. But over an entire generation of failed policymaking later, we've seen countless communities who never could have imagined such an incident succumb to the same violence. This past week, I fielded countless messages from students on social media who say they are fearful of going to school, and from parents who are afraid to send their kids to school. But in spite of their fears, students have summoned the courage to join with their peers in Broward County to march to state capitals and to the White House with the purpose of holding elected officials accountable, saying that they've had enough while proposing thoughtful policy solutions. The students of Broward have been such powerful advocates, just like students in Fairfax County and other districts around the nation. They have seized this moment, their moment, to rise up and demand change. They have galvanized even the most disillusioned among us to take action. Students have quipped that it now appears the kids are acting like adults and the adults are acting like children. With the passage of this resolution tonight, we are saying that the group of adults at this dais stands with the kids, and we will use our positions as elected officials to amplify their voices as far as we can make them go. Now, let me be clear. Our school system neither endorses nor opposes the various forms of organized protest in which our students are engaging. But I can say that we support their freedom of expression through speech, assembly, petition, and other lawful means. My message to those students who wish to exercise their First Amendment rights is that, as one member of this board, I stand with you, and I am so proud of you. As someone who ran for elected office at a young age and happened to win, I can tell you that you are far more powerful than you think you are. You are our future leaders, and we as educators must do everything we can to teach you how to lead and allow you to exhibit that leadership on causes about which you are passionate. There will be some who will say that bringing a resolution like this is not productive and that it doesn't do anything substantive. On claims of that nature, I will push back forcefully. As elected officials, it is our job to represent our community, channel their needs, raise the collective conscience, and take a reasoned stand. Our passage of this resolution tonight is not just a call to our legislators, but to all school districts across America to join us in this advocacy. I invite school boards across the nation to join with Fairfax County in adopting this resolution or resolutions like it, and to continue holding all of our country's elected officials accountable until they fix this problem. I encourage my colleagues to draw upon the collective energy and the courage of all of those gathered here tonight to support this resolution on behalf of the safety and security of our children and our entire community. And to our community, and most importantly, the students gathered here tonight, I will leave you with the words of Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has.
Please, if you will take your seats. Ms. Derenak Koufax, would you like to speak to your second?
Yes, Madam Chair. I want to begin by expressing my deepest sympathy to the families and friends and to all those who lost loved ones at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. A very close friend of mine shared that he is a friend of Ryan Petty. Mr. Petty lost his 14-year-old daughter, Elena, at this tragic event. A high school freshman, she was described as caring, smart, and confident. Elena's funeral was 3 days ago. Her brother Ian said of her, "The things I learned most from her were how to be patient, how to be loving, and how to care for those around you." As a mother of a teenage daughter and a young adult son, I cannot fathom the pain this family and the 16 other families of this most recent tragedy in Parkland are feeling. My heart is breaking for you, and I will continue to pray for you for strength to move forward and strength to heal. As a mother who happens to be a school board member, there's little I can do in my lane of true policy change to prevent gun violence. But I cannot continue to sit by and watch our children's innocence being taken away. I cannot sit by and watch our schools become places where children no longer feel safe. And I can no longer sit by and watch our schools, places that are supposed to be filled with friendships, with joy, and the love of learning, become places filled with anxiety, worry, and the fear that your life could be lost due to the hands of an armed gunman. I thank you, Mr. McElveen, for bringing this resolution forward. It is the right thing for an elected school board to use our platform to call into action other elected officials who can make a change. I am seconding this resolution, calling on lawmakers in the United States Congress and in our state legislatures who can and bring forward real common sense gun reform. I, for one, am not asking to take away Second Amendment rights, but reform that will help us prevent gun violence in the future. As your elected colleagues on the local level, we tell you that this is hitting too close to home for us. We need you to hear us, and we need you to take action. Do not let another daughter, son, teacher, or administrator or coach be lost because you did nothing. Never let that happen again. For my colleagues, I hope you can support this call to action. And for all the students in Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, students in FCPS and school systems around the country, we hear you. We are proud of you. Each day, we are astounded by your resilience as you walk through your grief. You have momentum, and you know that real change is coming, but it takes time. So use small steps as you are. Write or visit your state delegates and state senators. Write to your congressmen and senators. We know you're marching on Washington. Register to vote when you turn 18, and vote. Vote for people who believe in common sense gun reform.
I will call on Mr. Moon to speak next. Mr. Moon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't want to repeat what the other two colleagues have already said, but I want to thank Mr. McLaughlin and Mr. Fairfax for bringing this timely resolution for our board's consideration, also presentation to the public. That, one more data point I want to bring to my board's attention, colleagues' attention, which you already know, that it's 96 are killed and twice as many are injured in each and every day due to gun violence in the United States of America. That's 96, another close to 200 due to the gun violence. That's each and every day, and that's not acceptable. And I was very happy to join, what should I say, sad to join, the vigil on Monday night in Fort Church. And I want to thank those in the audience who organized that vigil. And speaker after speaker emphasized the fact that mental problems are not unique to America, but easy access to guns is. I was born and grew up in Korea until I was 17. Growing up in Korea, I had always admired United States of America as the best place to be. I still believe the United States of America is the best place to be. And I admire my newly adopted country so much. However, one thing I do not admire is so many people dying, getting killed by guns. So easy to purchase guns. And status quo is not acceptable anymore. Thank you.
I will call on Mrs. Heinz. Thank you. I want to thank, this is a great crowd. Thank you for being here. I want to thank the PTA. I think we have the FEA here as well tonight, Moms Demand Action, the new group, Students Demand Action. I see lots of folks here who are concerned and showing up. And I hope this gives you hope. When the news came on the radio on the 14th, I was driving, and I have to tell you, I was numb. I had become numb. For a few hours, I was just numb. I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know how to react. I know there was this little voice in my heart that wanted to come out and say, this is tragic, but how many tragedies can we put up with before we just start to protect our hearts? And that's a terrible place to be. And then I saw the kids, right? We all saw the kids from there. We heard and felt their anger. We heard their eloquence. We heard their determination. And my heart cracked open, and I was with them. I was 100% with them. I felt again. I felt the anger. I felt the determination. And that really, it's the kids who have changed this. I, at this point, feel like I have never been more angry or more determined. We cannot stop this time. We cannot. We cannot let the people who for so long have wanted to shut down research, have wanted to shut down debate, have wanted to shut down every common sense idea that anyone has put up there, we cannot let them think that we're going to go away this time. We cannot let them believe that for a second. This resolution
tonight is that promise. It's a promise to not be numb, to not be silent. It's a promise to work and vote until we have that common sense reform that honestly keeps children in every other part of the developed world safe. This is not hard. It is really not hard. We can do it, and we have been choosing not to. We have to choose differently.
The next speaker is Ms. Corbett Sanders.
Tonight, I speak as a mom, an aunt, a mentor to students, in addition to being a school board member. I speak as someone who is frustrated and angry that once again we are faced with consoling our children, comforting them, and ideally assuring them that never again will they be faced with the fear of a gunman violating their safe space, be it at the safety of their schools, the playgrounds, outside of their schools, their churches, outdoor concert venues, their dance halls, or theaters. I can offer my thoughts, my prayers, my consoling hugs. However, I cannot assure them that it will never happen again in the current environment we live in. We've all heard the statistics of how many people die by guns every year and how many acts of gun violence have occurred on school grounds, so I won't repeat them here tonight. Tonight is a night in which this board must take action and stand with our kids. We must do what is necessary to make sure that our children are safe. I fully support the superintendent's work in doing a full review of the security procedures that we have in place and making recommendations on how we can do things better. But I also fully support this resolution. You know, the National PTA in 1990 called for practical gun laws. They reaffirmed those practical suggestions again in 1996 and 1999, and at every instant when there has been gun violence in this country. We can't just keep having resolutions without action. We need to have action by our policymakers at the federal and state level that puts our children first. And putting our children first does not mean that we get rid of the Second Amendment or the First Amendment. What it does mean is that we have practical solutions that ensure that our children are not faced with people who have guns designed for military combat coming into their places, their safe spaces. So I am fully supportive of this resolution, which honors the students that were last week killed, as well as the students of Sandy Hook and the students of Columbine. We must do this. So thank you, Mr. McLaughlin, for not only your resolution, but your heartfelt words. They were very wise and are once again proving that our younger generation are wiser than the older generation by willing to take action. Thank you, Ms. Derenak-Kofax, for seconding it, and I implore all of my fellow colleagues on this board to support this resolution.
The next speaker is Megan McLaughlin.
It's difficult to know how we as your board members can possibly capture and convey the concern we've had for each and every child in our public schools since the tragedy that happened last week. As a parent and as someone whose own constituent lost their beloved daughter in the Virginia Tech shooting 11 years ago, I don't think we ever thought that we'd find ourselves sitting here tonight. But we are, and it has been 11 years since Virginia Tech, and we are no closer today than we were 11 years ago when we were horrified at that loss of life. But one of the things that I am very thankful for is that this board sitting before you, and certainly with the eloquence and the effort that came from Mr. McLaughlin and my colleague, Ms. Dearnett-Koufax, is that we are here tonight as the 10th largest school system in the United States to lend our voice of leadership, to reassure and let all of you know that your presence here tonight, it does inspire all of us. It inspires us to say, what can we do in our positions here within not just the school board, but the National School Board Association, to partner with our teacher associations across the country, to partner with all of the advocacy groups that are here tonight with our united voice to say to the very people who do have control over these laws, to say that enough is enough. And we are very, very dedicated to being a part of that shared voice. And please know that not only is it my honor to vote in support of this resolution tonight, but it is your passion and your informed voices that we need to continue hearing from as we advocate for the change that's needed here in the United States of America. Thank you again for being here tonight.
The next speaker is Ms. Poolcheck.
On December 14, 2012, my fellow teachers and I were called to an emergency meeting in our school library. It was the end of a long day, and I could not imagine the topic at hand. As we know now, our hearts were broken that day to hear of young children the same age as those I teach every day, massacred in their very school where they should have felt safe. It was a tragic moment, and at the very least, the smallest hope we had was that we would finally see change. We would finally see our leaders and our nation act. Unfortunately, we did not. It has now taken countless more shootings, a lack of action to get us where we are today. Last week, we witnessed another massacre, one of many in our country's schools. The adults have not acted, and now the children are leading this important conversation. In my school, once again, this past month, we studied another time in history when students took to the streets, took the great risk after their adults continually failed them. The students who took a risk to demand that their schools desegregate took this risk, took bodily harm, emotional harm, and finally forced our country to do the right thing. Our children are doing that again today. From Florida to Fairfax to Missoula, Montana, students are standing up, speaking out, and risking their liberties in order to see a change. As a millennial, I thank my colleague, Mr. McLaughlin, as a teacher and as a very proud graduate of Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. I believe in science. I believe in the importance of research, facts, and best practices. And I believe that we can no longer stand aside and block the research that needs to be done, the education that needs to happen, and the public health risk that needs to be addressed in our nation.
Ms. Kamara is the next speaker.
Our children are the future, and many of us on this board are proud graduates of Fairfax County Public Schools. We know that this resolution is not enough, but it is our duty to protect our children and their future, and to ensure that we continue to support our classrooms and join them in solidarity in asking our leaders, our nation, and our advocates to say that we can no longer have elected officials and their lobbyists voting against their life, their safety, and their rights. So With that, it is the beginning of a great and arduous and continued battle. And I want to thank all of the advocates who have helped us get here and who will continue this fight, because today is not the end, it is the beginning, and we will ensure the safety of our kids. Thank you.
Ms. Kamara.
I cannot let this moment pass without speaking as a mother, a daughter, 3 sons who've gone to Fairfax County schools, and I prayed over their safety every day that they would come back just the way I sent them. As an attorney who has spent much of her life fighting for our kids so that they could have access to education, I know that there is a continued fight. So I want to thank you, Mr. McLaughlin and Ms. Koufax, Darren Koufax, because sometimes it's just time. There was a time when slavery came to an end. There was a time when discrimination in our schools came to an end. We are seeing the end of how women are mistreated, and now it is time for the foolishness with regard to how we deal with the Second Amendment to end. As a student of the law, I do respect our Constitution, but you cannot have a right without borders. Everything has to be evaluated with respect to our fellow human beings. And so today, I fully support with my whole heart, because when I see those kids, when I look out in this audience, I'm thinking, these are my kids. It's just like looking at my kids. And so, not to claim everybody, please don't get upset with me, but I just really cannot, once you become a mom, you can't stop looking at things the way a mom looks at things, right? And so I thank you for this motion, and I say don't just stop at making people recognize the issue, but make them dig into the issue. Nobody's trying to take away anybody's gun necessarily, but why do we need to be able to shoot 100 people at one time? I'm not sure I understand that. Why do we need ammunition that literally goes into the flesh and the bone and shatters it? There is no purpose for some of this other than the mass destruction of human life, and that is not constitutionally protected. And so I know my colleagues want to speak, but I just wanted to say I so stand with you. If I could, I would come out and I would hug each and every one of you. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so very proud of each and every one of you. My son came home from college this weekend and he says, I need to speak with you. My friends want to know exactly what you're doing about the safety of our children.
The next speaker is Ms. Evans.
So thank you.
Well, I too want to thank Mr. McLaughlin for bringing this resolution to the board and for Ms. Darren Koufax for seconding it. It's an excellent resolution, and I do fully support it. When we send our kids to school, we have to know that they are going to be in a safe place. I say that as, like some of my colleagues, as a mother and most recently as a brand new grandmother. And when that little grandbaby goes to school, I need to know that she is going to be safe. I need to know that this has been fixed. I'm so proud to see that our students are taking the lead, both here in Fairfax County and around the country. We need to listen to them. And thank you for everyone here who is either a student themselves or who has advocated for this possibly for years. I know many of you have advocated for years. So thank all of you for taking the lead as well. We as school board members have our role to play, and we will play it. As Dr. Brand said, we are reviewing everything we do, and we will do our part. We will make sure that we have done everything in our power to ensure the safety of all of our children. But all elected officials have their role. We cannot do it alone here. It is long past time that we get decent gun control in this country. What we are doing now has not worked. We know that. We keep being shocked at the carnage that we see. We keep being shocked in this country and in the world. We're angered. We are heartbroken. We are heartbroken for the lives that have been lost. But we need to turn this heartbreak and this shock and this anger into action. No more excuses.
Mr. Wilson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I have two high schoolers in Fairfax County Schools, and recently my wife and I brought them together to talk about the school shooting and what they would do in that situation and in each class that they were in. And as a father of a daughter who's a freshman and a son who's a senior, it's a surreal conversation to have with your kids. But my colleagues may not know that actually I experienced that when I was a high schooler in Fairfax County. In 1983, Lake Braddock Secondary School was taken hostage by an armed gunman who came in and took hostages in the office. And the entire school was on lockdown. And my unfortunate experience was that I had to sit in the locker room during that entire experience. But it was, I think, a foreshadow of things that were coming. Thank God no one was killed during that incident, at least as far as I recall. But it was traumatic. It was odd. It felt really wrong. And I know that the school system then reacted with additional security measures. Back in those days, you could just walk right into the school. There was no locks on the doors. And this person was a former student. He was a 19-year-old who had a grievance with his girlfriend and went to the school to rectify it. So I would quibble with Mr. McLaughlin in saying that it's just the past 2 decades. I think actually it's even an older problem, that's 35 years ago that an armed gunman entered one of our schools. And I'm very grateful that right immediately prior to this meeting, we began as a board a conversation about what we can do right now in our schools. And we're going to put everything on the table for that discussion, and the superintendent's going to come to us with the recommendations on those things that can improve the safety within our schools to keep our kids safe. Because we have to accept reality as it is. And the reality right now is that we live in a country that a shooter could potentially come into a school, as we saw just a couple of weeks ago. Mr. McLaughlin mentioned that he hopes that we can fix the problem. I would even back it up one step farther and say, I hope we can identify the problem. Because, yeah, well,
please let Mr. Wilson speak.
It is guns. I think that's right. But guns existed. But guns existed in 1983.
Please let Mr. Wilson speak.
And I think that guns similar to the assault rifles today existed. As a matter of fact, I know they existed because I was in the Army and had one. When I served.
Please,
I hear the passion, and I want to commend the students who have come out. Some of them have even gone on to television to talk on the NewsHour, which was incredibly impressive. And I commend the effort and the passion that people have. But I would submit to you that there is a deep issue, there's a deep illness in our society. And that really has to do with how much do we value life? Because the person who came into that high school didn't value life. Matter of fact, he disregarded life. He was a high schooler. And that's a statement that I think we have to deal with. We have to think about.
Please, I'm sorry, but we need to listen to Mr. Wilson. It's his turn. Please.
And I hope that in the process of our review of this and the superintendent's review that we can look holistically at how did we get here? Is it simply a matter of guns? And
please,
right.
I'm sorry, but we can't have a
myself,
two-way conversation.
As a parent myself of 4 Fairfax County Public School children, and as somebody who experienced having his school taken over by an armed gunman, I think that we have to take it to the next level to not only see what it is we're doing and can do more in our own schools, what legislation can be passed. I'm very appreciative of the discussion because now we're having a conversation about things like the age at which you can buy a weapon, whether or not you can buy a bump stock. These are very important discussions. I don't think it ends there. I think those are very important, but that's not the end of the conversation. I would also finally, I guess I would like people to think about the passion they feel right now and turn that passion towards another plague that takes 150 lives a day in this country. And that's the overdose from opiates and heroin.
I'm sorry. If people, please, you need to be quiet and let the board speak.
Yeah, because
Mr. Wilson, go ahead.
Because that epidemic actually is ravaging our schools as well. And it's not.
Please let Mr. Wilson speak. We don't want to have to clear the auditorium. Please. Please.
Yeah. Well, I go back to the fact that I sat down with my own children who are high schoolers in Fairfax County Public Schools. You may not respect my opinions. Clearly, you do not. By the heckling and the abuse thrown at me, and that's fair. That's fair.
Please, audience. We must ask for quiet. Mr. Wilson, please finish.
But I do look forward to this discussion, and I look forward to making positive changes both in Fairfax County Public Schools and in the public policy realm, which as a school board member, we have very limited power to affect the changes that this resolution talks about, other than providing our support. And I will support this resolution.
Thank you. The next speaker is Mrs. Schultz, and again, I do ask, please, to listen to the board members. They do have a right to speak and share their opinions before we vote. So thank you very much. We appreciate your presence. Mrs. Schultz.
I spent Tuesday night at a PTSA meeting where parents and staff concerns were conscientiously addressed. But the ask of many was that there be leadership on the safety and security measures in our schools and around our campuses, on fields, and ingress and egress on the way to schools. They had some great ideas that are worth discussing to address and allay the fears of parents and students alike. I spent hours yesterday at one of my schools listening to and talking with students. Some were friends of one of my students who was murdered last week. Their fear is real and palpable. Many asked that the adults do something to let them know that they're safe. I received a phone call from a high school parent this morning at 12:22 a.m. The mother was in absolute fear over something her child had just received. She asked that we do something to demonstrate that we are leading the way as a board in the safety and security of the children in our schools. As a parent of 4 students who have been or are in Fairfax County Public Schools, and the only board member with an elementary student, I feel palpably that students of all ages, their families, our employees, have concerns about safety and security for themselves and for their children. So that there's absolute clarity in this discussion tonight, we have the responsibility to lead, not wait. Before this meeting, I brought to the board a topic to introduce into our work calendar a direction to the superintendent and to staff to affirmatively seek a comprehensive security assessment, to ask staff to look at all options that are available to us as the board, including the differences from school to school and between schools and administration buildings where employees work. A work session for our staff to present information to this board was the outcome, although it was altered at the last minute for more behind-the-scenes, closed-door discussion earlier in the process than I believe is necessary to be transparent for the comfort of our community to understand what we are doing to secure our schools, to keep children, their teachers, and our employees safe. Everything needs to be on the table, and everyone needs to be at the table. With what is happening nationally and right here, and a lot of what is happening here you never know about, this board had to demonstrate that we are willing to ask for such a review and for it to be open to the public and what options are available to us and what this board will consider to enhance the safety and security of our facilities and the access to the buildings where our children go for 180 days of every calendar year. Nothing more was sought and nothing less was asked. 90,000 school board members in this country have the responsibility for 50.5 million children K to 12. It is the responsibility of school boards, not of Congress, not of General Assemblies. We have the responsibility first to protect our children and to protect our employees. This cannot be a partisan or agenda-driven issue. Our children do not come with a party letter on their head. There is no longer the option to give hope. We have to be the hope. So we can pass a resolution now that we committed prior to this meeting to have and be a part of the solution. But waiting for Congress or General Assemblies, that's great if they want to bring resources after the fact. It's first up to us. So let's simply make the effort and be the leaders that I know that we're capable of being. for the security and the safety of our children, for the well-being of our families, and to send a message to our employees that we do have a caring culture and we care about you, and that we are going to keep everything on the table, and we're going to invite everybody to the table. Thank you.
Ms. Heinz?
I would like, for those who were not at the earlier meeting tonight that Mrs. Schultz just referred to, Mrs. Schultz brought a forum topic request for a study, asking the superintendent and staff to review current security measures and to come back to the board with any options that trained security staff could bring to us that are research-based, make sense, right? And we agreed to do that. The part of Mrs. Schultz's motion that I could not support, and had nothing to do with transparency. Please do not think that we changed Mrs. Schultz's motion to make our conversation less transparent. That is simply not true. What we did was to reject the following language in her motion. Discuss implementing full-time armed presence in all schools. Discuss the potential of incorporating full-time armed presence in all schools. More guns do not make us more safe. Fewer guns make us more safe. The research is so clear on that. So,
okay. I'm going to speak last, and then I will call for the vote. I'm sorry, Ms. Schultz would like a go back.
Yeah, so let's have a clarifying go back, because when you take a handful of words that are part of a sentence out of an entire document, what happens is things are taken out of context. The clarity was you want to hear this, don't you? I mean, this is important. You want to hear this. I said that we need to discuss. I didn't say that we need to go get. Discuss. As I said previously, everything needs to be on the table. If you are unwilling to discuss options, then it's no longer a discussion. We need to have the subject matter experts, the professional security staff that FCPS has, and let me clarify, or not clarify, let me give the opportunity to speak to that. We have an amazing professional security staff, and most of the security personnel that are in our buildings have so much training. They're former military, they're former law enforcement, that those are magnificent individuals, and compared to almost any place else in the country, we might already be the gold standard. But unless we are willing to discuss, I did not say put, I said, and that was just the topic, but what it says is that the board needs to have a comprehensive discussion regarding the safety and security measures deployed in our schools, what current practices are in place at elementary, middle, and high school levels, and discuss the potential of incorporating full-time armed presence in all our schools, either through additional Fairfax County police officers who are already armed and in our high schools and our middle schools, or licensed armed security, and then technology and communications and a lot of other options. That's how we're going to have the greatest amount of information brought to us from the experts so that we can have a comprehensive conversation with our staff, with subject matter experts, and with our community. If we don't have the information, if we don't ask for the information, we can't have a reasonable conversation with the community. That is merely all. What I objected to, and what happened earlier, is there was a discussion that instead of going to a work session and seeking information from our staff, and they determine when it's appropriate to give us a closed session, and that we have a work session as publicly and transparently as possible out in the open, that the suggestion was the first thing that we do is go into closed session. And I just feel like that isn't the message that we want to send to the community, is that as we walk away from this table, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back into closed session, and that's going to be our next conversation. I think our conversation should be with you.
Ms. Vedakonda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would first like to take a moment to express my deepest condolences to the students and families of Stoneman Douglas High School. And while I cannot fathom the loss they have been through, I have been incredibly inspired by the students coming together to unite for a common goal of gun control. As part of that, I would like every student in the audience to just please stand and be recognized for your efforts on this issue. The students of Stoneman Douglas and all of you here tonight have demonstrated the strength and courage that is needed from all of us in order to speak out on this issue and prevent a similar tragedy from ever happening again. And the students from Stoneman Douglas are not alone. Almost all of our current students, myself included, have never known a world without school shootings. We prepare for active shooters in the same way we would prepare for a fire or an earthquake, starting from the early ages of elementary school. Growing up, we've seen places like school, houses of worship, movie theaters, and malls turn into potential threats. And each morning, we have to be prepared for the worst to happen when we get on that school bus. And I'm so proud of my peers who have decided to take a stand on this issue and who have decided to stage walkouts and protests in support of what they believe in. I'm grateful to Mr. McLaughlin for bringing this resolution to the table. And I think there is no better thing we can do as a school board than to vote for this resolution to pass. We may not be able to solve the issues of gun control here at this table, but we can call on our legislators to do what they can in their power to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your thoughts and your comments. First, I would like to thank our police who are in our schools and the additional police who have been with us for the last week and who will stay with us to make sure that our children and our teachers are safe. I would like to thank the work of our staff, of our IT people, who in fact look into every piece of social media that looks suspicious. They work hard. If they are concerned that there is a crisis, we investigate it. We go right to the source and sometimes visit a home and to see. We do not take any of this lightly. We are here to protect you, to keep your schools safe, and yes, we will look at all possible ways to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to make sure that our schools are safe, that they are places of learning, that our teachers can teach, and our children can learn. I would like to quote from the very brave and strong leaders out of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. From Sarah Chadwick, "Never again should a child be afraid to go to school. Never again should students have to protest for their lives. Never again should an innocent life be taken while trying to gain an education. Never again should students have to protest for their lives." From Spencer Blum, "We're angry, we're pissed. We're ready for action. We are ready to make ourselves heard." From Andrew Pollack, a grieving father, "We're here because my daughter has no voice. You are now her voice. She was murdered last week and she was taken from us, shot 9 times. How many schools, how many children have got to be shot? It stops here. Will America choose its children over its guns? It is time for America to listen to its children." To our brave young leaders who are with us tonight, put down the guns. Our children are standing up and demanding change. Go for it. I would like to call now for the vote to approve the resolution on gun violence prevention. All those in favor, please raise your hand. That motion is unanimous. Thank you very much. A piece of generational information, the young people who are here tonight and the young people from Marjory Stoneman Douglas, they are the youngest of the millennial generation. We have raised them well. Thank you. We'll take about a 2-minute recess for people to reorganize themselves, but the next business item will be citizen participation. We'll begin that in about 2 minutes. Thank you. Resume the meeting, and we will begin with citizen participation. Board members, please return to the table. This meeting will resume. The next order of business is citizen participation. Tonight, 10 citizens have signed up to address the board, and we also have one video. Speakers are requested to limit their remarks to not more than 3 minutes. The school board will not hear statements involving issues that have been scheduled for public hearings, such as capital improvement program, budget, and boundaries. Complaints regarding individual students or student-based employees or school-based employees should be directed to the appropriate school principal or other school official. Speakers should refrain from using personally identifiable information in connection with individual students. Speakers are expected to deliver their comments with decorum and respect appropriate to the conduct of the public's business. Please be mindful that there are often young children in attendance at these meetings or watching at home. So language should be appropriate for all age levels. Thank you for your cooperation, and thanks to those who have come to speak to us tonight. The first speaker is David Aponte.
Good evening to the members of the board, school staff, and citizens of Fairfax County. I'd like to thank you for your time tonight. Ironically, prior to hearing about the resolution that was going to be introduced tonight, and prior to hearing about the events in Parkland, I came here to talk about school safety. And I think it's only fitting that I continue that conversation and talk about some of the specific things that this community has been asking for a long, long time. I've stood up in front of this board before as a representative of GLSEN to talk about LGBT students, students of color, and marginalized communities that need our support quite a bit. And they still need our support. It's at times like this when, in my capacity as a local leader, when I hear about students who don't feel safe in school, that I can only think about those who every single day, regardless of what's going on in the news, don't feel safe in school. Tragic events like what happened in Parkland bring us all together to think about things like this, but it's what happens between those times that I feel like we need to focus on. It's the work that happens between that I feel like we need to constantly be having conversations about and constantly be working towards. And tonight I've seen some of that leadership from some of you, and I continue to be inspired by many of your leadership, the student leadership that we've seen tonight, and the community leadership that we're seeing so far. When it comes to student safety, there are a couple things that I want to highlight. First off, I believe that as part of this new effort to look at how we keep students safe, we do look at all the regulations that affect student safety in any way across the county, and that goes for our community organizations as well. Are school staff truly equipped to deal with all students? The answer in many situations is usually no. We can talk about what access they have to the tools that they need. We could talk about the training that they've received, but our reality, year after year after year, meeting after meeting, is that school staff are not equipped to deal with some of the students who need them the most. Every day I hear from LGBT students who continue to be underrepresented by their teachers, by their elected officials, and by the policies that they're supposed to be protected by in schools. I've seen your leadership in adding gender identity and expression and sexual orientation, and I have two reasons to thank Mr. McLaughlin tonight for all of those policies, as well as the resolution that he brought tonight on gun violence prevention. I've seen that leadership, but it's time that we take it a step further. It's time that we actually come out with the regulations so students know what that means, what those policies mean for them. It's time that I stop getting calls every single day from students asking me what their rights are in this county. It's time that I stop getting calls from parents asking if their children are truly safe and asking me, to be honest, not an expert in law, to explain every single law to them. It's time that we make some change and we make that happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next speaker is Laura Doherty, to be followed by Helen Lee.
Good evening. I'm Laura Doherty, mother of a beautiful FCPS student. Like all parents in this country, the massacre in Parkland, Florida shook me to my core. I stand with students to demand safe school environments nationwide. School security is critical, but only part of the solution. Please support sane, effective gun policy and laws that protect our children and school staff from mass shootings. I'm also a trans ally, here tonight to respectfully ask the school board to implement the draft regulation concerning gender nonconforming and transgender students, or alternatively, begin the public process of drafting a new set of regulations. A regulation of this nature is necessary to meet Policy 2100's goal of creating, quote, safe, supportive, and culturally responsive school environments, 3 years ago, our child came out as gender nonconforming. Our fears multiplied. Fear that our child will become a statistic. Fear that she'll be bullied and beaten by her peers. Fear that under state law, she can be discriminated against in housing and public employment, and that her federal protections are being stripped away. While FCPS has a non-discrimination policy in place, it has gone without informed regulation governing the treatment of trans and gender nonconforming students. This is significant given that the U.S. Department of Education is refusing to hear complaints from trans students. It's significant given that there's rampant misinformation and bad science propagated by anti-trans doctors, studies taken out of context or misquoted altogether, and wholesale denial of the very existence of transgender. Calling a trans person's identity mental illness is false, cruel, and unnecessary. To speak of a child this way creates scars that last a lifetime. I praise the staff who worked with my child during her transition journey. We've been blessed by kind, knowledgeable people, school psychologists and social workers, administrators, teachers, and clinic aides. But as it stands, parents of trans kids can only hope that staff is compassionate, informed, or willing to learn, and that existing regulations against bullying will keep them safe. Please give staff a regulation based on recommendations from peer-reviewed studies and from respected and recognized medical and psychological organizations. Affirm the transgender and gender nonconforming status of our children. Allow students the dignity of not having to run to the clinic to use the restroom. The dignity of knowing the school will protect them from discrimination, even if the current U.S. Department of Education won't. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. The next speaker is Helen Lee, to be followed by Robert Rigby.
Hi, so I'm going to share my time, but first I wanted to address the resolution that happened earlier today. So I wanted to emphasize that there is no link between mental illness and mass murder, which the NRA recently is trying to make people with mental illnesses a scapegoat, and too many people make that link, and it promotes a wrong stigma about mental illness, and Fairfax County Public Schools need to make it clear that, you know, having a mental illness does not mean that people are violent.
Good evening. I want to thank Laura and I want to thank David for their testimony. I'm here to build on that. My name is Chelsea Yu. I was raised in the Fairfax County Public School System, starting with Great Falls Elementary through Cooper Middle School and finally Langley High School, 07. I say this as a concerned graduate and alumni of Fairfax County. I am here for creating practices and actions that protect and encourage trans and gender nonconforming students. And in light of the recent Parkland massacre, I want to also emphasize that if we are going to address gun violence, we need to address all of the gun violence, starting with the murders of trans and gender nonconforming students who are more likely to be murdered with guns, and students who are more likely to kill themselves with guns. If we want to create a more caring environment, we need to concentrate on not just the mass murders, but the smaller, everyday violence that occurs. And back to the LGBT community. These students are more likely to be vulnerable to violence, suicide, poverty, and and being ostracized by their community. We live in a country with where the highest office denies their humanity and works actively on eliminating their rights altogether. So I ask the school board to be proactive in supporting Fairfax County's trans and gender nonconforming students. They are still our children, and they are still our future. The practices that David has outlined, including training for staff on how to support transgendered and nonconforming students. Though seem small, will go a long way in validating and empowering these children. They deserve to have the resources and skills that are not readily available to them in other environments. We must do what we can to protect them and give these students the space to explore their identities.
Thank you. The next speaker is Robert Rigby, to be followed by William Park.
Good evening, school board members, Dr. Braybrand, and senior staff. My name is Robert Rigby, Jr. My heart breaks for the children and teachers in Florida and their friends and families. In my 33 years of teaching, I have never seen my students more anxious about safety. One of my freshmen came to me yesterday after class with a plan to move cupboards and mobile carts across the doors to keep us safe if there were an intruder. I can't talk about this more. I have to keep my nose to the grindstone and talk about the wisdom of creating clear regulations that specify the accommodations that we will make for transgender students in our schools. The federal government has made clear that we will not force us into certain regulations. The Trump administration has also made clear that they think the decision should be left up to the local school system. But as leaders of a world-class school system, you should make decisions based on evidence and the advice of medical and wellness experts, rather than simply the advocacy of citizens. I shall quote from the statement of the American Academy of Pediatrics about transgender students in schools. The AAP is the mainstream professional organization of pediatricians with more than 60,000 members. Here is their statement. Transgender students should have access to the sex-segregated facilities, activities, and programs that are consistent with their gender identity, including but not limited to bathrooms, locker rooms, sports teams, and classroom activities. They also say, in contrast, there is no evidence of any harm to the physical or mental health of other children and adolescents when transgender students use facilities that match their gender identity. The AAP, they are joined in that statement by the following professional organizations: the American Psychiatric Association, the American College of Physicians, the National Association of Social Workers, the Pediatric and Endocrine Society, the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, the American Academy of Family Physicians, the American Academy of Nursing, the American Academy of Physician Assistants, the American Medical Students Association, the American Medical Women's Association. There are 12 or 13 more. The American Psychological Association makes a similar statement. This is why these regulations were written the way they were, not because my organization lobbied for them, but because FCPS staff turned to the medical experts for guidance. We can hope the situation we have now with the word-of-mouth policy immunizes us against lawsuits from parents of transgender. Is my time up? Thank you for listening.
Thank you. The next speaker is William Park, to be followed by John Murray.
Good evening, honorable school board members. Thank you for the opportunity to follow up on my prior presentation regarding issues at Lake Braddock. Tonight's focus on a premier workforce is highly appropriate and a highly appropriate nexus to the events that occurred at Lake Braddock and the ensuing gatehouse response. Specifically, integrity, accountability, and honesty are critical employee traits, especially for those in leadership positions, as they set the tone and define the character of the organization. When those atop the organization lack these defining characteristics, the foundation of the organization will be fatally weakened. Based on the actions to date, it begs the question as to whether the superintendent and other current FCPS executives are the appropriate pillars upon which to build FCPS's premier workforce. Why does the superintendent still refuse to acknowledge what occurred at Lake Braddock to both the girls on the basketball team and to the fact witness that was retaliated against? If nothing happened, as the superintendent claimed at a recent TV interview, why is the former Lake Braddock principal being paid $90,000 to take a 7-month paid vacation? Why was the community sold a lie that he retired as opposed to the reality that he was placed on administrative leave? How can FCPS hire, develop, and retain a premier workforce when it has 2 key employees, the assistant superintendent for HR and the general counsel, engaged in a conspiracy of unlawful employment practices? To be clear, whatever reliance the superintendent may have placed on his staff in July and August of last year has nothing to do with his demeanor, choice of words, dismissive tone, and false statements in the January TV interview. His probationary period has long since passed. Prior erroneous guidance from his subordinates is not a permanent excuse for an executive, in the face of overwhelming evidence, to continue the intellectual dishonesty of what occurred, to not correct the record, and to not make amends to those impacted. Failing to do so reveals this executive's character deficiencies. As such, I'm calling upon the school board to take the following actions. Formally acknowledge the occurrence of sexual harassment at Lake Braddock and the offending parties, including the failure to follow federal law, FCPS regulations, and the ensuing cover-up. Direct the superintendent to issue a new letter of findings and to email the entire Lake Braddock community correcting his July 2017 email. Dismiss the assistant superintendent for HR and general counsel for conspiring and approving the unlawful retaliation against a fact witness and the continued cover-up of federal Title IX violations of sexual harassment. If the superintendent refuses to complete these actions, I call upon this school board to immediately terminate the superintendent for cause as permitted in his contract. Thank you.
The next speaker is John Murray, to be followed by Norman Hall.
Good evening. John Murray speaking on behalf of parentandchild.org. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. Policy 2100 puts students' health on an equal footing with academics. That is a praiseworthy, compassionate, and caring policy. It's so great to begin a talk with something we all agree on. But does the family life education curriculum improve student health? FLE lessons talk about how to avoid sexually transmitted infections, STIs. Grade 6 Human Growth and Development Lesson 4 recommends waiting to have sex until you are in a faithful marriage. But grade 7 Human Growth and Development Lesson 3 says, wait to have sex until you are in a faithful monogamous relationship. That was a quick transition from marriage to relationship in 1 year. Grade 9 Human Growth and Development Lesson 3 cautions against engaging in sex before one is ready and talks about deciding when to become sexually active, and also says our next activity will be to help you see the risks and benefits of premarital sexual activity. So 6th graders should wait until they're in a faithful marriage, 7th graders until they're in a monogamous relationship, 9th graders until they're ready and decide to become sexually active and see the benefits of premarital sexual activity. Is that how you reduce sexually transmitted infections and unintended pregnancies? Do those quotes give a green light to casual sex? I would say ask a 17-year-old what they think. But on the other hand, what if it does? What if the FLE does encourage casual sex? Let's get real. Kids are going to have sex. But it's also real that casual sex has life-changing consequences. I'm on the board of a crisis pregnancy center, and we see the consequences of casual sex all the time. It's a disaster. Unexpected pregnancy, father with no job, girl gets kicked out of her house, not to mention sexually transmitted infections. If you want to get real, the 10-year period from 2005 to 2014 in Fairfax County, syphilis was up 35%, gonorrhea 36%, chlamydia 89%. That's what it means to get real about casual sex. The family life curriculum that encourages waiting until you just can't wait any longer encourages casual sex, unexpected pregnancy, and sexually transmitted infection. If Policy 2100 means what it says, student health and well-being are just as important as academics, and you should change family life education so that it contributes to and doesn't detract from student health. I hope you will. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Norman Hall.
I'm Norm Hall, and father of 2 former FCPS students. I have experience doing non-contract work at many of Fairfax County's elementary, middle, and high schools. I am now the advocacy chair of the Fairfax County Special Education PTA, SEPTA. I have 4 comments on Strategic Plan Goal 3, Premier Workforce, and I do so in the context of having spoken out last month in favor of the proposed 2019 budget. I was pleased to see that County Executive Hill offered a budget plan that supports this favorable outcome. Given the range of conditions that exist within our children, special education teams at our schools need advanced skill sets, creativity, and craft to succeed in meeting the challenges of this expanding population. Good special education teams of teachers, instructional assistants, therapists, social workers, psychologists, and non-school-based staff are a necessity. In order for these teams to continue working for FCPS and to stay for the long haul, these teams need rosters who are paid well for the skills and experience that they need to have to serve our students and families. It is no secret that the turnover rates for these professionals are above what is sustainable for student success for every child and every need. The comprehensive and strategic plans that have been presented this fall expose the fact that our students are not meeting success in critical domains at the same level as students without disabilities. So, here are my questions. 1, when recruiting for teachers, what information is presented to suggest the relative career development opportunities that are gained by choosing to work here? Has the school board asked the staff to explore incentives for teaching special education classes here in Fairfax County? Can we be known for developing exceptional special education programs? 2, what about workforce diversity with respect to staff with disabilities? At the last work session, I saw concern for gender, and as a male with experience in elementary schools, I can appreciate that. But similar concerns surely exist in the minds of students with disabilities when they do not see school personnel who receive accommodations freely. 3, the idea of adding strong special education university programs to the recruiting calendar is excellent. There are significant differences in the amount of experiences provided to incoming special education teachers. Would it help to have students at these schools know that our school board expresses interest in making Fairfax their long-term home? 4, with regard to the new principal pool selection process, are knowledge, credentials, and experience reviewed upon entry to the pool or at the selection stage? In the interest of assuring families that principals add value to the planning, scheduling, operations, and outcome of special education, would the school board consider parental input as part of the principal pool screening? Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Frederick Costello. Mr. Costello, to be followed by Tina Williams.
I'm taking Lupron as part of my treatment for prostate cancer. In caring for students and staff health, Policy 2100, you might profit from what I've learned. Lupron is an androgen depression therapy drug, ATD drug. It cuts off testosterone production. Testosterone is the food for prostate cancer. You guys would be paying attention here. I was concerned about hormone treatments, so I investigated. The long-term effect of Lupron and other ADTs is a greatly increased risk of dementia. I was alarmed. I looked at castration as an alternative, hoping for a safer treatment. There's also evidence that castration leads to dementia, so there's no way out. I'm stuck. I had to take my chances with no ADTs, no castration, and normal testosterone levels. So when you guys get older, you have to pay attention to that, okay, when they propose things to you. In keeping with policy 2100, then, you need to warn your staff, okay? Prostate cancer is common. How about your students? Well, male to female transgenders also take ADTs or are castrated. Their testosterone is suppressed. They too can expect dementia. Yet you, on the school board, accommodate transgenders as a matter of policy, okay? So here you are, school board, accommodating and thereby encouraging people to take a medical treatment that leads to dementia. You think you're being kind and considerate, but you're looking only at a short-term accommodation without considering the long-term disaster. Don't foster male to female sex changes. Only a few years ago, psychiatrists taught that desire for male to female transformation was a mental disorder. Today, at least in some circumstances, they teach the opposite. What are you going to do the next time they change something? If we were in a war, actually I'm concerned about you on the school board. If we were in a war by conducting sex change experiments with humans, you'd be guilty of a war crime. You might blame psychiatrists. Adolf Eichmann blamed his superiors, but he was hanged. Okay, you are responsible and ultimately pay the consequences. Perhaps as you're hanged at Nuremberg for the crime. Perhaps on your deathbed as you reflect on your life and what you've done with dementia. And surely after death, justice will be served. A Christian or a Muslim might warn you that unless you repent and reform, you will go to unending punishment in hell. I would like you to avoid that. Stop experimenting with human beings. Stop fostering dementia among Fairfax County students.
The next speaker is Tina Williams, to be followed by Sean Haskett.
Good evening, School Board, Dr. Brabrand, and leadership team. Happy Black History Month. I'm Tina Williams, and I will be giving my time to Beth today.
Thank you. Hello. I was going to speak about the resolution. I had this carefully crafted argument about building up to why we should support it, but you've done it now, thank you, so you don't need to do that, so skip. So I'm Beth Tudon, I'm the Fairfax County PTA president. We've had a lot of PTAs contact us over the last week and asking, what do we do? What's happening? What do we tell our parents, teachers, the students and such? Do we support this? Do we support that? And so we've carefully looked to see what the national PTA guidelines are and some other things. And we appreciate what you've done about the students being able to peacefully walk out, that's very important. There have been quite a few schools, high schools, where students have. Because these kids have their entire lives, they have had, it's been since Columbine, they've had active student, active gun drills since kindergarten and such. So thinking about this, at our general membership meeting, Dr. Brabrand, you're coming, on March 20th, we are going to focus on this issue. So we're asking some people from the gun violence prevention community, figure out what can be done at home, what questions you would ask for play dates and things, and also what can be done at school. So we're asking that, and we'd like for people from FCPS to be involved with that too, maybe have SROs, social workers, counselors, and such, just see what's going on in the schools. And let's see. Sorry, I'm all out of here, but so if you can think of some things that we can do, maybe people who would be on the panel and such about that, it would be great. So thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Sean Haskett. Okay, Sean is not here. Okay. Then we have a video testimony presented by Mario Ramirez Holken.
Fairfax County. First, as a mother, I would like to express my sincere and deep condolence and empathy to those parents whom lost their children in such a violent tragedy in Florida last week. It is absolutely unacceptable that as parents we have to consider the idea that one of our schools could be a target for such an unfortunate situation. I urge to reflect to work with us as a community and to focus on this important matter to prevent any episode like the one that hit Florida. As my colleague Catherine Stewart mentioned in your last meeting, the School Health Advisory Committee has been working to amend the health and wellness policy regarding a student's right to recess. The proposed language provides a balance between the needs of the students to participate in recess and not to have their recess withheld, and the needs of the staff members who need flexibility for certain circumstances. It is important that the kids do not work on homework or classwork during recess. Our sole intent is that our kids can have recess as their time to recharge their minds to go back to class more focused. We hope we can count on your support for this policy amendment to better serve the students in our county and hopefully serve as a good example for other counties across our state. In addition to the implementation to this amendment, we will need to prepare and support our teachers for them to familiarize with the new policy, its scope and implementation. It is our job to support our teachers moving forward in terms of application and best practices and benefits of recess in schools. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That ends our citizen participation part of our meeting, and thank you again to all those that came out to speak to us. Next, student representative matters. I call on Ms. Fedekanda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just want to start out by thanking Dr. Brabrand for his email and his comments, just so that all of our students know what's going on and what the safety and security procedures are. And thank you to Mr. McLaughlin for tweeting out the image earlier with the notes about what rights our students have to participate in political protest. And as we saw earlier, there are countless students who came out here to support our resolution, and I would ask that we lend our support to the students in the system who want to use their voices to take a stand. So many of our students have been informed about or have already done walkouts and other protests, and I think that we need to focus on working to support their freedom of expression and assembly while also making sure that we're coordinating with students to ensure at least a little more security than just students walking out of all the doors on the campus. And I understand that many parents and administrators are concerned about how to ensure student safety if there are such large numbers of students walking out of the school. And I hope that we can work with school principals and student government associations to have a more detailed set of guidelines regarding potential student walkouts. Something that we could include would be working with the student government to establish a designated area for all students who are walking out to be at, so that we can at least have one area that could be supervised if necessary, such as in front of the school or in a courtyard. And we could ask students through the student government to sign up from class in the same way that they would sign up to go to the library or things like that, to indicate that they will be at the walkout so that we can keep track of where students are in the case of the emergency. And I think that in doing any of this, we need to make sure that we're working with student governments, because they'll be the ones who have a better idea of when students are going to be protesting and how large the protest will be, so that we can have a more cohesive support of our students. And if we directly engage the students, we can ensure that we keep instructional disruptions to a minimum while making sure that we're supporting our students' rights to protest and making sure that they're safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is confirmation of action taken in closed meeting. This is the portion of the meeting where the board will confirm any action regarding issues that were discussed in the closed meeting. These issues may include action taken regarding student disciplinary matters. Board members have discussed each individual case, and at this time will make several motions to confirm the recommended action. I will call on Ms. Corbett-Sanders.
I move to expel a student who participated in the gang-related assault of another student.
Second. Seconded by Ms. Kamara. All those in favor? It is Evans, Wilson, McLaughlin, McElveen, Corbett Sanders, Strauss, Moon, Heinz, Derenak Kofex, Keys Kamara, abstention. Ms. Poolcheck, thank you. I will call on Ms. Corbett Sanders again.
Yes. I move to expel a student who's
seconded by Mr. Moon. Thank you. All those in favor? All right, that motion. No, okay, thank you. Okay, that motion then is Ms. Evans, Mr. Wilson, Ms. McLaughlin, Ms. Poolcheck, Mr. McElveen, Ms. Corbett Sanders, Ms. Strauss, Mr. Moon, Ms. Heinz, Ms. Derenak Kofex, Ms. Karen Keys Kamara, abstention, Ms. Schultz. Thank you. Next, I will call on Ms. Derenak Kofex.
I move to deny the school reassignment appeal of a student who brought illegal drugs to and used illegal drugs at school, and to modify the disciplinary decision of the division superintendent.
Second by Ms. Keys Kamara. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you very much. Next, I will call on Ms. Schultz for a motion.
I move to deny the school reassignment appeal of a student who brought a controlled substance to school and distributed it to other students at school, and to confirm the disciplinary decision of the division superintendent.
Seconded by Ms. McLaughlin. All those in favor? Motion is unanimous. Thank you. Then I will call again on Mrs. Schultz for another motion.
I move that the teacher identified at closed meeting be dismissed effective immediately, and that a recommendation to revoke the teacher's provisional Virginia teaching license be forwarded to the superintendent of public instruction at the Virginia Department of Education.
Seconded by Ms. Poolcheck. All those in favor? That motion is unanimous. Thank you. And I will call on Ms. Heinz for a motion.
I move that a recommendation to revoke the Virginia teaching license of the teacher identified in closed meeting be forwarded to the superintendent of public instruction at the Virginia Department of Education.
Seconded by Ms. Poolcheck. All those in favor? The motion is unanimous. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the Luther Jackson Middle School proposed boundary adjustment, and I will call on Ms. Poolcheck for a motion.
Yes, I move that the board approve a standard boundary adjustment of some Jackson Middle School students to Thoreau Middle School. Any approved boundary adjustment related to Jackson Middle School will not change the high school boundary. Some students who attend Oakton, Mosby Woods, and Marshall Road elementary schools would be reassigned from Jackson Middle School to Thoreau Middle School if the boundary adjustment option A is approved.
Seconded by Ms. Keys Kamara. Ms. Poolcheck, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you. First of all, I want to recognize and thank Principal Chad Lehman for being here. I know he has been managing his overcrowded middle school where we sit very well over the past several years, and I hope this will provide some relief to the overcrowding and to his ability to ensure the safety and security of his kids and attention. I also want to thank staff, Dr. Zuluaga and Kevin Sneed, Jeff Plattenberg, and Jessica Gillis and their team for all of their work, and communications team with Matt for their work in doing the boundary change and the community outreach of the past several years. I think it is important to keep in mind that this is a boundary adjustment. Option A was the preferred option by the community after outreach, several community meetings, inputs, and a process that really took into account the desires of the community to be able to now use up some of the space that is freed after the renovation at Thoreau Middle School. It is intended for implementation next year as per the feedback in the community documents, of which all were posted online throughout the process. So I know that the school board members received further information, and just want to say that we're happy to take questions, and hope that my fellow members will support this change. And that is all for tonight.
Ms. Kamara, would you like to speak to your second?
I certainly support the motion and am looking forward to a solution that makes sense, that reduces overcrowding in our schools and allows our children to stay together for a longer period of time. And so as we go forward, I know we have other such situations to deal with, and I can only hope that they will go as smoothly. Thank you.
I forgot to add, Ms. Strauss, if I may.
Yes, Ms. Poolcheck.
Sorry, I think the important thing as well about this boundary change, while it does not eliminate all split feeders, one of the important aspects and the reason it scoped certain schools, those that would eventually go to Oakton High School, was that we do have now children leaving their boundary after elementary school, coming to the Falls Church boundary, and then going back to their pyramid for high school. And so the hope is that this will help reduce a little bit of that split feeder, which we are trying to do, as well as reduce overcapacity in the county. And also want to assure families that the AAP Center will remain at Jackson Middle School, and all students eligible for the center will still have the option to attend Jackson's AAP Center.
Ms. Heinz?
Yeah, thank you. I just really wanted to reiterate thanks to staff, because even a small boundary change like this takes a tremendous amount of work. And I was at some of the meetings out in the community, and I think if we feel like this has gone smoothly, it's because staff did such a great job of making sure that community members were heard, had plenty of opportunities to be informed and to weigh in. And so I honestly can't thank you enough on behalf of the Hunter Mill residents who were involved in this conversation.
Okay, thank you. I will call for the vote on the Luther Jackson Middle School proposed boundary adjustment. Okay, that vote is unanimous with Mrs. Schultz away from the table. Thank you. Next is the Strategic Plan Goal 3 Premier Workforce. I will call on Mr. Moon for the motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that the school board approve the Strategic Plan Goal 3 Premier Workforce Report as detailed in the agenda item.
Seconded by Mr. McLaughlin. Thank you, Mr. Moon.
Thank you, Madam Chair, again. This year's Goal 3 Premier Workforce Report was presented to the school board at its meeting on January 25th, and then subsequently discussed by the board members at the work session on February 12th. There are two overarching strategies for the Goal 3, and they are overarching strategy number 8 and number 9. Under overarching strategy number 8, we are to recruit and retain high-quality employees who are valued, respected, and rewarded for their efforts. Under overarching strategy number 9, we are to invest in growth and leadership opportunities for all employees by providing meaningful professional development and quality feedback on performance. The report discusses major strategic plan activities taking place during the current year and reflects data that has been utilized in making decisions, driving the work underlying Goal 3. In addition, the report provides an update on the monitoring metrics and the current work that support the Goal 3. The work accomplished for the implementation of the class size regulation is also included in the report, and I would like to ask my colleague to support this.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. Mr. McLaughlin, would you like to speak to that?
Mr. Moon covered it very well. Nothing
He did. All those in favor of approving the Plan Goal 3 Premier Workforce Report? That motion is unanimous with Ms. Schultz and Ms. McLaughlin away from the table. Thank you. And Ms. Kamara. All right. The next item is establishment of a new Level 4 Advanced Academic Center at Bush Hill Elementary School and adoption of new pupil assignment plans. And I will call on Ms. Kofax.
I move that in order to contribute to the efficiency of the school division, the school board approve the establishment of a new Level 4 Advanced Academic Center in the fall of 2018 at Bush Hill Elementary School, and also adopt the following pupil assignment plan. In fall 2018, Edison-based Rising third grade center eligible students currently assigned to Springfield Estates would be assigned to attend the new Bush Hill Level 4 Center. In the fall of 2019, Edison-based Rising third and fourth grade students currently assigned to Springfield Estates will be required to attend Bush Hill's Level 4 Center. An additional grade level will be added each year until full implementation of grades 3 through 6 for the Level 4 Center at Bush Hill Elementary School in school year 21-22.
Seconded by Ms. Corbett-Sanders. Ms. Derenak-Kaufax, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. As a system, we've been watching the numbers grow at this AAP Center at Springfield Estates, and we believe now is the right time to open another center at Bush Hill for the students in the Edison Pyramid, students from Cameron, Claremont, Franconia, Mount Eagle, and Rose Hill. Springfield Estates has always been a bit unique. For when it opened many years ago, it was, of course, modeling best practices that we still see today, wanting to ensure critical mass of children who need this advanced academic curriculum and to have at least 2 grades at each level. The Springfield Estates AAP Center pools, in order to do that, had pooled from 14 different elementary schools with students from 3 to 5 different high school pyramids. Now, many years later, it has grown, and at some grade levels, there are now 5 AAP classes for a corresponding 2 Gen Ed classes at that school. And even though Springfield Estates was recently renovated, it is currently over capacity, with the AAP Center making up 58% of the school population. So conversations informally began with the community last spring, with more formal community meetings this fall, both at Bush Hill and Springfield Estates. Community surveys were sent out, parent meetings were held, coffees were held, both electronic and paper communications talked about the process. And when the results of all the surveys and the community meetings came in, all showed support for this change. I want to thank all the people who came out last week, or 2 weeks ago, to our public hearing on this topic. And all the testimony at that time was also in support of a Level 4 center at Bush Hill Elementary. A big thank you to the staff who worked on this, Dr. Sloan Presidio, our Assistant Superintendent of Instructional Services, Kirsten Maloney, the coordinator of our AAP programs, Noel Klemenko, our Director of Pre-K through 12 Curriculum and Instruction, Terry Dade, the Regional Assistant Superintendent for Region 3, and Principals Mary Randolph from Springfield Estates and Mary Duffy from Bush Hill. Ms. Duffy is ready to accept these students, and her staff is preparing for that, and I hope my colleagues can support the opening of a Level 4 center in the Edison Pyramid at Bush Hill Elementary.
Ms. Corbett-Sanders, would you like to speak to your second?
Yes, I'll be very brief. I hope that all of our colleagues will support Ms. Derenak-Kaufax and I in this motion. It is a motion that addresses overcrowding in the current AAP Center, while at the same time creating opportunity and access closer to home for all of the students in the Edison Pyramid. It also reinforces an expectation of families that they should be able to have their kids stay within the pyramid to access advanced academic services. So I welcome this. I welcome the opportunities the greater number of opportunities that will be available to the students in that area. And once again, thank you to staff for all you've done to make this happen.
Thank you. I will call for the vote on the establishment of a new Level 4 Advanced Academic Center at Bush Hill Elementary School and adoption of new pupil assignment plans. All those in favor? That motion is unanimous, with Ms. Schultz, Ms. Poolcheck, and Ms. McLaughlin away from the table. Next is P2100, Student and Staff Health and Wellness Policy, and I will call on Ms. Evans for motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that the Board adopt Policy 2100.3, Student and Staff Health and Wellness, as detailed in the agenda item.
A second? Second. Second by Ms. Heinz. Ms. Evans, would you like to speak to it?
Yes, I would, just briefly. This is regarding our recess policy. Currently in the student and staff health and wellness policy, we do have a requirement that daily recess is required at all of our elementary schools, but we have heard from parents, sometimes occasionally, sometimes more often, that they're concerned because they have seen examples of students being disciplined by having their recess taken away from them, having their recess time used for instructional reasons to make up homework and that sort of thing. So this is the recommendation from the School Health Advisory Committee to add language to our current policy, so we will clarify that this isn't an appropriate use of recess time. So I do want to read into the record what the new language would be. This is B2 of the Student Health and Wellness Policy. Daily recess is required at the elementary school level on full school days and should provide for student-selected structured and unstructured play through a variety of activities. Recess should not be withheld to manage behavior or used for instructional activities such as completing classwork, homework, or remediation activities. If extenuating circumstances impact recess, the principal or designee will review the circumstances and take appropriate action in each case. So I do want to thank, in particular, Teresa Johnson, Assistant Superintendent for Special Services. We worked together with the School Health Advisory Committee on this language to deal with the case that there might be exceptional circumstances, and how could we accommodate that. But this does strengthen the language on recess and makes it clear this is certainly important for the health and well-being, and actually for the academic health too of our little students, our younger ones. And so we just want to make clear as a board that that recess is an important part of the school day. And so this is language brought to us and recommended by SHAC, and I certainly hope that my colleagues will support this.
Ms. Heinz.
Yes, thank you. So I do teach 5th grade, so tomorrow I get the pleasure of going in and telling them that I voted last night to save recess. I think that will get me a lot of points in the contest for favorite teacher, right? Anyway, I do think it's important, very important, and as Ms. Ramirez-Holcomb mentioned in her recorded testimony tonight, she's one of the members of the advocacy group More Recess for Virginia and for Fairfax. She made the point, and I think it's important, that this has to be implemented with teachers. I think that's going to be very important. The elementary school day is just jam-packed. It's very busy, and it's pretty stressful to try to get everything done. And we don't want recess to suffer. It's a really important part of the day. But just because we say something and it doesn't sort of magically happen, people are going to have to work hard to make this happen. And I, for one, will continue to support any efforts to help the teachers actually implement this. So,
Ms. McLaughlin, and then I believe Ms. Evans has to go back.
Yes, I just want to say that I'm extremely pleased that the SHAC committee is bringing forward this language to us, having talked with the parents in my community who started this group for More Recess in Fairfax County. It was very troubling to hear that an issue that has been there well over a decade of recess being looked at as optional, that it's used as a tool to work with student behavior. I was a PTA president who sat with my elementary school principal well over a decade ago with this very concern. And it's a mindset. And so the parents coming forward and galvanizing parents throughout the county. I mean, this, started with just a few group of women who were talking about it and trying to understand why was this being allowed to happen? And the fact that in such a very quick time, they brought forward their proposal, they met with our staff, and then, in fact, when we met with Liz Payne, it was suggested that bringing it to SHAC would be a really quick way. And so, Dr. Brabrand, I want to say I'm very appreciative of your staff with Teresa Johnson and before that with Jane Lipp. I mean, just this collaboration that staff looked at a community concern that's very real, and now the board and many in the public know this is something that we're also looking at the state level. You know, how can we look for ways to not only protect the recess that students have, but extend the recess that's so much needed. And Ms. Heinz, you probably see it along with Ms. Poolcheck more than any of us. I mean, kids need that free time to get out and get that physical energy and exercise. And so this is just important language. I just can't emphasize it enough that, you know, being able to engage our teachers, Ms. Heinz, you said it well. We want to be partnering with our teachers on it. We want them to feel supported when there are behavioral issues in the classroom. But being able to say recess is not where we want that to happen, I think is a really important message for the division. So I'm very excited to support this.
Ms. Corbett-Sanders and then Ms. Evans.
Sure, I'll be brief. I wanted to first thank Ms. Evans for taking this off the consent agenda. And the reason that she took it off the consent agenda is because we want to make sure that our community understands the importance of this initiative. And this is an initiative that really is about balance in life. And so many of us know that in today's fast-paced world where we're all dependent on these attached to our hip and constantly fiddling with what is going on, our children see us modeling that too. And so with this motion and with this new policy, what it does is it emphasizes the importance of balance and the importance of free play. And it's something that I would actually encourage the adults that are watching that maybe we should learn from this important policy. And take the time off, get outside, have unstructured time. And that's what we're encouraging for our children. We're encouraging that they have that unstructured time because we believe that that contributes to a healthy mindset and less stress and anxiety in their lives. So once again, Ms. Evans, thank you very much for allowing us to have a conversation, and thank you to all of the parent advocates who have been so passionate about this. And a message to Richmond, take action on this, please.
Ms. Poolcheck.
Yes, thank you. I'll be brief. I don't want to repeat the comments I agree with my colleagues. But often I like to encourage the community to advocate, to be effective, collaborative, and to work with us, with staff, both here locally and at the state level. And I just want to reiterate what Ms. McLaughlin said, is that the recess advocates have done just that in a very short time frame. Since they've been addressing this issue, they've really worked with us, and I appreciate staff and Ms. Johnson and her team who have worked with them, partnered with them, and they've now gone beyond to create recess advocates across the Commonwealth. So just want to reiterate that it's an excellent example, and hope others will follow suit. Thank you.
Ms. Evans.
Yes, thank you. I just also wanted to add my voice of thanks to the advocates. More Recess for Fairfax. They've done an excellent job of working with SHAC and with staff and with me as the liaison to SHAC. So they've done an excellent job both here and, as a couple of other of my colleagues have mentioned, in Richmond, to make a change that would help us add more recess time. You know, some of our little ones don't get very much, and so I do think it's important, speaking of balance, that they do get more, and so their advocacy in Richmond is bearing fruit, and so they've done an excellent job. So thanks to those advocates for their activism.
Thank you. I will call for the vote to approve the changes to Policy 2100, Student and Staff Health and Wellness Policy. All those in favor? That motion is unanimous with Ms. Schultz away from the table. Thank you. Next is the consent agenda. Our adopted rules of parliamentary procedure, Robert's Rules, provide for a consent agenda listing several items for approval of the board by a single motion. Many items listed have gone through board review, and documentation has been provided to all board members and the public in advance. Items may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any board member prior to the meeting. 6.01, approve the minutes from the February 8th, 2018 regular school board meeting. 6.02, appoint individuals to serve on committees as detailed in the agenda item. 6.03, confirm the separations of the period beginning January 1st, 2018 and ending January 31st, 2018. Is there any objection to approving the consent agenda? Hearing and seeing no objection, the consent agenda is approved. New business. The following are new business agenda items. There will not be a vote tonight on these items, but action is scheduled at a future meeting. 7.01, award the contract for the running track replacement at Chantilly High School to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, and authorize the division superintendent or the assistant superintendent of facilities and transportation services to execute and administer the contract on behalf of the school board. Superintendent matters. Dr. Brabrand.
Thank you, Chairman Strauss. A couple of things just to share with you beyond the statements I made earlier this evening. We've had a team of students from Chantilly Academy, which is a governor's STEM academy. They've got a first place award in Virginia for the Open Division of Cyber Patriot, which is the Air Force Association's National Youth Cyber Defense Competition. Frost Middle School team earned Virginia's first and third place awards in the middle school division. So we're proud of Chantilly Academy and Frost Middle School. The Cyber Patriot Corps program, the National Youth Cyber Defense Competition, has teams of students across the U.S., Canada, and Department of Defense work on resolving cybersecurity vulnerabilities in simulated environments. And these teams top teams from the preliminary online rounds advance to national finals in Baltimore, where they compete for national recognition. So again, we're very proud. Also, I want to let you know the Lake Braddock Band has been selected by the John Philip Sousa Foundation as a recipient of the 2017 Sutler Flag of Honor. Hope I'm not stealing another board member's shout out, but the award is recognized as one of the nation's highest awards that can be presented to a concert band. The Sutler Flag of Honor identifies, recognizes, and honors high school band programs internationally that have demonstrated particularly high standards of excellence with concert activities over a period of several years. And a member of the John Philip Sousa Executive Board will present the flag to students at the school's spring concert in May. Congratulations to band director Mike Luley, his students, and the entire Lake Braddock team. And finally, I just want to say it was an honor to participate. We had over 200 students receiving gold and silver scholastic keys. It's a wonderful, wonderful program if you've never gone to it. It's kids from all around our school system being honored for their outstanding artwork, and it was a packed crowd last night celebrating the fine arts. And Fairfax has a rich tradition of doing it. It's one of the amazing, amazing things that the school system does for our young people, and they were just wonderful last night, and I was glad to be there. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brabrand. We have some board committee reports, and first I will call on Ms. McLaughlin for an update on public engagement.
So I know our board has had a long evening, so I will actually be extra brief. But I do want to let you know that the PEC committee continues to work very closely with our Assistant Superintendent, Chase Ramey, on the 2019-20 calendar preparation. So the good news is that the staff developed a survey for us on questions we would then send out, one to our families and one they'll prepare for employees. But with a real opportunity to kind of, at a very high level, find out about things like early release days, professional development days, impacts, the start of the school year, the end of the school year. We were on PEC extremely pleased with the staff work that they did. In addition, we had asked for staff to bring us examples of other calendars in the Washington area, other school divisions, and how they handle their calendar days and holidays. And so we're using that information in preparation to then bring the information back to the board. But we still have a little bit more work to finalize on it, but we'll be bringing it to all of you, and with the goal of, again, getting this out, surveyed to our families soon, so that staff can then collect the responses and bring back recommendations to us by late spring. So that's been the primary focus to date. And then Mr. McLaughlin brought as new business something that I think we'll get a chance to really benefit from talking about at the retreat this coming weekend, which is, how do we just ensure really strong communication between the board and staff when there's community events, that I think it's important for the board to be representative to our communities.
Thank you, and I will ask Ms. Darren Koufax for a report on Governance Committee.
Yes, the Governance Committee met on February 14th, and we did one final review of School Board Policy 8335, our wireless communication facilities. And we will be bringing our recommendations to the full board during a work session. I'm not certain if we have the date yet, but it will probably be in March or April. And also, we made the final plans for our school board retreat, which will be this Friday and Saturday. Friday from 5 to 9 and Saturday from 9 to 1. So I'm looking forward to meeting with all of my colleagues over the weekend to talk about our communications guidelines and reviewing board norms and the board code of conduct. So I can't wait to see you all on Friday.
Just a quick, so we begin at 5 o'clock?
We begin at 5 o'clock. We are having a nice dinner.
Oh, lovely.
So please come. We are breaking bread.
All right, thank you. Okay. Board matters. I will begin with Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll just pick up where Ms. Darren Koufax led off. I hope that during the retreat we can build on the unanimity we showed tonight as a board and promote good interactions amongst the board members and also with our superintendent. So I look forward to the next couple of days with all of you.
Ms. McLaughlin.
I just want to briefly thank the families in Fairfax County, particularly in Braddock District, who have reached out to me in the wake of the tragedy in Florida. Your communication, your input, your shared thoughts, and how we can best govern the system and communicate with our families has been very valuable. I also do want to tease Dr. Brabrand because, yes, he did steal the thunder about Lake Braddock's band winning the Sutter Award, but that's okay because I've put in a request for them to be recognized by the board, since that is a national recognition. So that is good. And also, I'll just give a quick shout out to one of my schools that I share with Ms. Dahlia Poolcheck, Frost Middle School, because they won their Frost Middle School cybersecurity team won recognition in Virginia for the states, and they are an alternate for the nationals for consideration. So anyway, just very exciting to see our young people getting involved in things like that. So, and to my colleagues about the retreat, as I was prompting Ms. Koufax, we do think that a great way to just start our time together is, if your schedule permits, coming in, we're going to set up the tables up family style and just you really have an opportunity. I know Mr. Moon loves food, so that actually could be a benefit.
Cupcakes.
Yeah, cupcakes, yes, and I owe him cupcakes. So anyway, but we also are sensitive to people's work schedules, so that's why we want to make sure that our start time would be 6 to 9. And I'm really looking forward to this because I think it's an opportunity for the board and with our not so new, but still somewhat new superintendent to kind of have that mid-year opportunity to touch base with one another and really reflect on the positive things we can do in our working relationship.
Ms. Poolcheck.
Yes, thank you. I have 2 things I'd like to highlight. Number one, I want to thank Dr. Braybrand, our incoming, outgoing budget staff and financial chiefs, and also our 2 budget chairs and vice chairs this year. It was delightful change this year to attend a budget briefing for the Falls Church Pyramid schools Tuesday evening, and to be able to start with the happy news that we are hopeful and that the county executive's budget currently includes full funding plus an addition for RCIP. I know in Falls Church we are very hopeful for that and looking forward to the renovated high school, so that thank you for doing that. In addition, speaking of food, I am very proud of my mom, who as an immigrant here didn't speak a word of English, but in her 40s, took her a little longer than it took me, and took classes at Nova, and eventually took catering classes in their catering program, and began her own business, things she had never done in Argentina, and has since been a small business owner here in Fairfax County, and currently caters to more than 200 students and staff at a preschool every single day. I am just delighted at what we receive here and our meals from the Davis Career Center at every meeting, and I had the opportunity to take her to visit and tour the Davis Center, the incredible culinary program, and the founder of the program, Becky, who has been running it, I believe, for 16 years. Heart, soul, energy, and my mom, who's generally quite introverted, was in her zone, delighted, and is already imagining ways to help support the program. So I hope we continue to support them, do what we can, and it's one of those areas that we don't know as well in the county, and that does so much for our students. And I believe they grew quite a bit this year. So thank you for our staff, and I know Dr. Johnson had to leave, for supporting them. It was quite a delight, and I recommend any board member who would like to visit. It's an incredible place, and they will feed you cookies and scones, Mr. Moon.
Mr. McLaughlin.
So this is an important month for our many members of the communities of color. Obviously, it's Black History Month, and I'm excited to attend an event this Saturday after our retreat at which our own Sandra Evans will be honored. So that's exciting for her advocacy over the years. And also, as many of you know, we have celebrated Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year over the past couple of weeks. Many of us have attended events in the community, eaten some very good food. So on behalf of the school board, Xin Yan Kuai La, and Happy Year of the Dog.
Ms. Corbett-Sanders.
Sure, thank you. I want to first thank all of the principals and staff at each of our schools throughout the county for the leadership and the nurturing that they have offered to all of our students who have dealt with some stress and fears in the aftermath of last week's shooting in Parkland, Florida. That is something that, from the bottom of my heart, I will always be appreciative of the caring manner in which each one of our school leaders reached out to our students and met them where they were coming from in a very stressful time in our country. So that is something that touched my heart. Secondly, I want to thank the principals of Gunston Elementary, Riverside Elementary, and Walt Whitman. This past week, they were incredibly busy, Riverside Elementary with their parents as educational partners event, the STEM event with Microsoft, which I was able to participate in with my colleague, Mr. Moon, at Walt Whitman, and the very important dialogue that was begun at Gunston Elementary with a partnership between Gunston Elementary, the Gunston Hall, and the Center for Conflict Resolution of George Mason, in which they had a session on talking about race with your family. And it was about 25 people in the room, and they were looking forward to having additional conversations with that community. It was a brave conversation to begin, and proved to be very interesting and helpful for the community.
Mr. Moon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Speaking of food, Mrs. McLaughlin, looking forward to your cupcakes in celebration of your youngest son's achievement. I take more than one, you know that. And continuing to speak about food, I was happy to be in one of Family and Consumer Sciences class at Lake Braddock Middle School. I believe that Mrs. McLaughlin, you came a little bit after I did, where students, shared with the classmates about their special family occasion and how they celebrate those occasions and what they enjoy eating. And I got to partake in those delicious food with about 20 students in the classroom. For Koreans, this year, 2018, is a year of golden dog. Mr. McEvan, don't ask me why. It's a golden dog. It's a special dog. It's a golden dog. And for continuing with the Lake Braddock Southern Flag of Honor, Superintendent, you may remember this, but this is a second one for Lake Braddock. First one came in 1994, a year before I came on the board for the first time.
Ms. Heinz.
Yes, well, I would just point out that Lake Braddock is catching up to Madison High School on that. They already have 2 Southern flags. So just saying, the race is on, right? I would like to thank the new county executive, Brian Hill, and our colleagues on the Board of Supervisors for signaling pretty clearly that they hope and plan to fully support the school system this year when it comes to funding. Dr. Brabrand, you have made a believer out of me. I really didn't think it was going to happen, but you were right. So I guess, we have a couple of new leaders in town, and it's working out. So I'm looking forward to actually helping the community understand, why it's so important, because ultimately it'll be the community that supports the increased funding. So, and then also I would just like to thank Superintendent Brabrand, all the staff, and some others of us have mentioned the principals in the buildings, but the response to the Parkland tragedy and its effects in our community, I don't think anybody realizes just how tough it has been to make kids feel safe and empower them at the same time, make the community feel safe, believe that we're doing everything in the most transparent way that we possibly can, and I know that we are. So I just want to thank you. I think you've guided the ship very well through rocky waters that we should not have to be in. I mean, of all the things you think you're going to have to do running the 10th largest school system in the country, that should not be on the list. So thank you.
Ms. Derenak-Kaufax.
I guess I'll just echo my colleagues' support for staff this week. It has been a horrendous week for us, and you have to deal with the situation at hand and just keep the ship running and not lose course. So thank you all for your time and effort this week. It has been I'm certain it has been very, very difficult at times, but thank you all for doing what you do to keep our system running and to keep our parents feeling that their children are safe, and for keeping our children, our students, making sure that they are safe. So thank you. And for my colleagues, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the retreat.
Ms. Kamara?
I too want to echo the sentiments. This has been a hard week for all of us, but I am grateful for my colleagues, grateful for our staff, and I just, every time I think about our students, they truly are heroes for me. And they actually, they're like the gas in my tank that makes me able to sit through these meetings. I'm sorry. No, sorry. She knows I'm sleepy. At any rate, but I do want to say happy Black History Month. And I went to lots of events, but one that was really special was by Jack and Jill, where they had a debate, and Fairfax High School took first place. Justice High School was sitting right next to them and made an excellent showing, and they received a speech from a young lady who had clerked for Justice Sotomayor. So it was just a wonderful event. Our students are amazing. I really mean that. They are my heroes. They are the reason I do this, and I just really wanted to say good night, but then I remembered I had something else to say. So good night.
I also wanted to thank Mr. Hill, our new county executive, in his presentation of his proposed budget, and thank Dr. Brabrand for your close work with the county executive. Following the presentation of the Board of Supervisors, there was a joint press conference. Dr. Brabrand and Mr. Hill spoke together, and thank you very much for the partnership. And we are certainly hoping that the community will, in fact, support what Mr. Hill has proposed, because for the first time in 10 years, we may, in fact, be able to fully fund our proposed budget, which would be wonderful. So thank you, Dr. Brabrand, for your work and your partnership. We really, really appreciate that. So with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.